morning, fifth grade. Yesterday, on your Google form for thunder and lightning, I asked you on which day of creation you thought that thunder and lightning were created. Maybe you were like me. I had no clue. So I texted my dad, who's a pastor, and asked him, what day was thunder and lightning created? And his answer was very simple. It wasn't created on any of those days. Before creation, thunder and lightning actually never existed. Um, it would have never rained. And my dad explained it in a way that it was kind of like there was this big bubble over all of Earth. And then once Adam and Eve sinned, that's when the thunder and the lightning happened. And it wasn't really until the flood happened that rain started. And we see that that's kind of when we see thunder and lightning starting to happen. Today we're going to be looking at a folk tale. And a folk tale, if you look at the definition, if you just would type it on Google for folk tale definition, it's a story, it's a tale or a legend, which means it's made up story originating or starting amongst a certain group of people. So it's usually one culture that comes up with a folk tale, and then the way that they pass it on is by speaking it. So it's an oral story that they would say from one person, and then they would tell their kids, and then their kids would tell their kids, and it would continue on throughout generations. So today we're going to be looking at a folk tale on thunder and lightning. All right, so you can have the sheet up that says thunder and lightning on top, and we're going to be reading through our folktale together and explaining then what your assignment is. So remember, a folktale, made up story. It's not true. We know that God created everything on earth, so thunder and lightning. This is a fun way, though, to see what different cultures believe, but then also a chance to use our imagination today. All right, we will begin reading. Do you remember the last time you saw a rainstorm? Streaks of lightning, rumbles of thunder, the whole thing can be kind of scary, right? Do you sometimes want to hide under the covers? Well, today we'll read one explanation of where all that thunder and lightning comes from, and the answer may surprise you. Today our story is called Thunder and Lightning. It was inspired by a folktale that's been told for years and years in Nigeria, a country in Africa. In the olden days, the thunder and lightning lived on the earth amongst all the other people, but the king made them live at the far end of the town, as far as possible from other people's houses. The thunder was an old mother sheep, and the lightning was her son, a ram. Whenever the ram got angry, he used to go about and burn houses and knock down trees. He even did damage on the farms and sometimes killed people. And we know right away that that's some of the things that lightning does. It can start fires, it can do damage, and sometimes it can kill people. I'm just going to move this down. Whenever the ram got angry, whenever the lightning did these things, his mother used to call him out in a very loud voice to stop and not do any more damage. Maybe you're like me, and when you were doing things or you're still doing things that you're not supposed to do, your mom yells at you really quickly to stop. I'm imagining kind of my mom's voice in my head right now telling me to stop, just like the thunder told the lightning to stop doing damage. But the lightning did not care in the least for what his mother said, and when he was in a bad temper, used to do a very large amount of damage. And maybe you can relate to this story that you're a person who has a bad temper. I know when I drive, sometimes I get really angry, and I can kind of relate to the lightning in this situation. At last, the people could not stand it any longer and complained to the king. So the king made a special order that the sheep, Thunder, and her son, the ram, Lightning, should leave the town and live in the far bush. This did not do much good. Really quickly, when you see the word like far bush, That would be like saying living in the middle of nowhere. In Africa, they use the term living out in the bush, and that's like in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. So that's where they're saying live in the far bush. This did not do much good. And as when the ram got angry, he still burnt the forest, and the flames sometimes spread to the farms and consumed them. So the people complained again, and the king banished both the lightning and the thunder from the earth, and made them live in the sky, where they could not cause so much destruction. Ever since, when lightning is angry, he commits damage as before. But you can hear his mother, the thunder, rebuking him and telling him to stop. Sometimes, however, when the mother has gone away some distances from her naughty son, you can still see that he is angry and doing damage, but his mother's voice cannot be heard. So that would be like when we see lightning and we don't always hear thunder. That's all that's making that connection too. So just reading that folktale, we get to see how this culture in Nigeria thought that thunder and lightning came about. Now you have a chance to come up, use your imagination, and see what you can come up with. So you're going to create your own folktale on where thunder and lightning came from. You can use the backside of the paper to write your story, and then you're going to submit your folktale on Flipgrid. This is a long story. You do not need to write this much on the backside. So on the backside, I gave you a lot of space if you need it. You might just want to write a couple notes. So I know it says use this page to write your own folktale and then submit your folktale on Flipgrid. Be creative and use your imagination. There's not a right or wrong answer for this. This is using your creativity. I want to hear the most fun stories on how you came up with or what you think how thunder and lightning came about. So go ahead and create or write down first and then go and create your own Flipgrid. Alright, so just looking at creating your own folktale. So I didn't write like step by or I almost just wrote step by step. I didn't write a whole story, but I plan to speak more on it in my Flipgrid. So I just wrote down a couple notes about what I think thunder or how lightning and thunder came about. So I wrote after creation, God and angels had some free time, so they decided to play a game. They played bowling, and each time the ball hits the pins, we hear thunder. And then when God or an angel gets a strike, the lights flicker in excitement, and that's lightning. And then each time they play, we see and hear thunder and lightning. So it's as simple as that. You, like I said, I would love to hear a bunch of creative ideas of how you think that thunder and lightning came about. Write some notes on the back side and then make sure that you go and submit a Flipgrid. I will have mine up there so you can see it, and then you can create your own, and then you can submit your assignment, and you are set to go for your folktale.